This is Maria Tomás-Keegan. We are here to go live for the first time. This is our 5th season of this podcast, and we're taking it live to our audience for the very first time and on multiple platforms. So welcome if you are visiting us from Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube. We are happy to be here with you today. I'm just going to give it a few minutes for people to join us. And it will take probably just a couple minutes, but I promise not to waste anyone's time. We will go live here in just a minute or so. And then anyone who joins us after will just have to catch up. So if you are joining, I'm new to this live streaming platform, to this new studio, so the technology may confound me for a minute, but I'll try to get to see if you are chatting with us as we go through this great conversation with my guest today. So if you are in the chat or open the chat, just tell us where you are coming from, and hopefully I will be able to see that. And we are going to come to you every week on Wednesdays at 10 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. So I'm in Arizona. We don't do daylight savings time, so we're always on Mountain Standard Time. But for those of you who are in daylight savings time, you'll be changing your clock soon. And I will be 2 hours from East Coast, an hour ahead of the West Coast, and you can figure it out from there. All right, so we are bringing you, as I said, live for the first time. After coming off of 15 months of being the #1 most watched show on Voice America TV, we're just very honored about that. And we are expanding our reach to the social media platforms, and you'll also be able to find us on all of the audio platforms. So that will probably happen the day after we go live, that there'll be the same episode will be up in audio format. So we hope you enjoy these weekly conversations with inspiring women. Our intention is to continue to create these resources for women to help them become more confident, more resilient, and more brave as they navigate life transitions and career transitions. Okay, I see someone in the chat. I'm going to say hello, Veronica. Where are you coming from, Veronica? Thank you for the congrats. I appreciate that. And we are going to get started here in just a moment. Let me see if I can see Veronica's answer to that. And there must be a delay. So we will get used to that too. It's all new. All right, why don't we get started? I'd like to introduce you to today's guest. Lora Cheadle is her name. We're going to talk about betrayal today, and the conversation may surprise you. When I first met Lora, her thoughts about betrayal intrigued me, and that's why I asked her to join me today. And before I bring her on screen, let me just tell you a little bit more about her. Lora Cheadle calls herself a life choreographer. I love that. She helps women overcome the devastation of betrayal and confidently engage in life again. She's a former attorney, she's a podcast host, and she's the best-selling author of Flaunt: Drop Your Cover and Reveal Your Smart, Sexy, and Spiritual Self. That title intrigues me, and I'm going to go get that book. I have not read it yet. After being shattered by her husband's 15 years of infidelity, she uses her experience to help others reclaim their identity, self worth, and enthusiasm for life after betrayal. Named a top influencer by Success Women's Conference, she has spoken on numerous stages, including the Women's Economic Forum in New Delhi, India. We have an international speaker with us today. Her work has been published in Thrive Global, Yoga Magazine, and Om Yoga Magazine, among others. So we call this episode, It's Not Burnout, It's Betrayal. So let me bring Lora on to join us. There we go.
Oh,
And it worked.
yay. Thank you so much for having me today. It's going to be pretty impactful, I think, to talk about betrayal in all of its many forms.
Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate that. I've really been looking forward to this conversation with you, Lora, because when we first talked, just the word betrayal kind of hit me in my heart. And I didn't think about it in the way that you do. And I wonder how many other women may feel the same way. So let's get this conversation started.
Yeah.
Post pandemic, especially women are struggling to figure out what they want to do about the work they do in the world. And it continues to be a big wake up call for millions of people who are now wondering, what do I want to do with my life now? In fact, it's for this reason that I'm dedicating this season of the podcast to women going through career transition and talking about both the professional and personal side of the effects of that kind of choice and decision. So let me ask you, what does being burned out and wanting a career change have to do with betrayal?
Oh, such a great question. So often we think we're burned out, and we're really not. And when we are doing all of the remedies for burnout, self-care, better scheduling, getting support, it might feel better for a brief period of time, but then it doesn't really solve the problem.
Mhm.
And as a former attorney, I am used to looking for the root cause. There's no point in treating the symptom if you can't treat the root cause and actually fix the problem. And when you start looking at burnout, so often when you spiral down, you realize it's actually a betrayal. Either we have sold ourselves out to we have subjugated our own needs, our own wants, our own desires with this belief that if I only, hang in there long enough or prove my worth, that people will see me and they will know what a good job I'm doing and I'll be rewarded and I'll be promoted and I'll finally feel that sense of satisfaction or fulfillment that I so desperately want to feel. And then we get a promotion and we're not really that satisfied. Or worse, we don't get a promotion and then we start to feel bitter and resentful. And then we just think, I just need a break. I'm burned out. But it's not that. It's all the ways that we have betrayed ourselves by silencing our voice, not for what we want, not saying what needs to be said, and performing to somebody else's standards instead of our own.
Wow, you hit a lot of nerves for a lot
Yeah.
of people. I know. I was thinking about a couple of my clients as you were speaking, and you would have hit nerves for them as well. So I know you have some firsthand experience with betrayal. Would you be willing to share some of that with us?
Yes. Do you want to hear the personal betrayal as well as the corporate betrayal, or which order would you like to do that?
It doesn't it doesn't really matter. I would just like our audience to understand that you know of what you speak, that you
Yeah.
have been through stuff on both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I, as Maria had mentioned earlier, was a corporate attorney for 10 years. And then after I had my second baby, I mean, that was the first betrayal, that women can do it all. They can have, the perfect home, the perfect family, the perfect marriage, and the high-powered career. That was kind of that first betrayal. After I had my second baby, I thought, I can't manage all of this. I'm doing everything for everyone, and I can't keep this pace. I can't do it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I chose to step back from my career, be a wife, be a mom, do my own part-time business so I could keep my finger in the mix. And I truly did do it all for everybody. And I thought I had a great life. I mean, yes, there were painful moments. Yes, sick kids running around, all of that. But bottom line, I thought I am truly sacrificing. My husband and I are doing this together. We're working for the greater good of our family. And I can't wait for my kids to graduate and move on so I can finally get back to me, where I can finally start pursuing my own dreams and creating my own career and really living life full out. So it's the eve of my youngest son graduating from high school, when really my dreams are all about to be fulfilled finally. And that's when I learned that my husband had been cheating on me for 15 years with multiple women.
Mm.
So all of those years that I think I'm fighting for the greater good, I think I'm sacrificing, I think I'm, tired, but I can still do it. I was the only one in that party. Which also then completely undid my plan for the future. How am I going to step into my business again, fulfilling myself again, when now I have to deal with all this on the personal end? I gave myself a lot of grace and a lot of space to deal with that. And what came up was all of the different ways I had been betrayed in the past, all the different ways I had betrayed myself, and how betrayal was really this reoccurring theme that I had never noticed. And it went all the way back to my first case as a student attorney. My first case as a student attorney was a repossession. It was not a big legal matter, but I won it. And I shouldn't have won it. I won it because I took a real deep dive into research, because I was brand new and I was scared to death to do something wrong. After winning the case, the judge called me into his chambers. And instead of saying what I was expecting, like, good job, as a student attorney, you've got this bright career ahead of you. No. He said, if I were you, I would wear my hair up. You have really nice legs. If I were you, I would wear pants instead of skirts, or you're not going to be taken seriously. And who do you think you are winning this case? Do you have any idea who your opposing counsel was? That was a betrayal. I didn't see it at the time, but I trusted him. I was seeking to please. I was seeking to perform. I wanted to be validated.
Right.
And that was a betrayal. And that incident really shut me down. That was the reason that I pivoted and went corporate instead of litigating, because it felt so bad and I felt so much shame, even though I had done nothing wrong.
Yeah. What's interesting about this is betrayal can happen in a multitude of ways.
Yeah.
Betrayal of self, and being betrayed by others, and being betrayed by something, right?
Yes.
It can be the corporation we work for, the culture
Yes.
of, that. Thank you for sharing that story. I appreciate that. And it just highlights how I just had this analogy that came to my head. It's, you don't see all the green cars on the road until you buy a green car. right? You
Yes.
didn't recognize all of the betrayals until you took that pause and gave yourself grace and worked through the tough journey of recognizing your husband's betrayal, to recognize how betrayal has been a recurring pattern. So I wonder if that may be the same kind of thing for some of our audience, if we think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about why betrayal is so profound. What is the impact of betrayal as opposed to burnout or a career dissatisfaction?
It's so profound for a few reasons. First of all, it truly cuts to your identity and self-worth because it's a betrayal of yourself as a human. It's a betrayal of yourself as a quality person who deserves to take up space. I mean, even think about at work, if somebody is asking you to stay late, there's a difference between, oh, wow, there's this one-time situation and I really do need to stay late, and that kind of abuse of not valuing you as a person, your time, your mental health. And every single time we suck it up and say, oh, sure, no problem. And we put on the smile, when we just deal with it. We're betraying our value and our worth because we all think we have to have a great reason to say no.
Yeah.
And we don't. And it's betraying our worth. We don't have to prove. We don't have to explain. We get to have feelings and emotions that are inexplicable. And betrayals really undermine that. And the other reason that a betrayal is so profound is because of the way it knocks down our expectations. We have this view of how the world should work. The world should be filled with good people. When we're in a relationship with somebody that we love or trust or have respect for, we assume that that love and that trust and that respect runs both ways. And when all of a sudden we find out this company that I have sacrificed the last 24 years for doesn't really have my best interest at heart, or this person that I have committed to could stab me in the back this way, again, we don't tend to look at the bad actor. We don't tend to look at the, person who hurt us. We internalize it and we say, oh my gosh, I was so stupid. How did I not know? What did I do wrong?
Yeah.
And it's
How could I have
devastating.
been so blind for so long? I hear that a lot. I said that myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not about us, it's about them. And that's why betrayal is so different and so hard.
Yeah. You're so right about that. And I think about you talked about values and living by others' expectations and compromising who we are, what we believe in, um, just to keep the peace. Or
Yeah.
we may not even recognize that it's just to keep the peace at the time. And that in itself is a betrayal.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about since betrayal runs so deep, it runs into our bones. It begs the question, can we recover from it?
We can recover from it, but only when we recognize what it is. And that's why I like to say it's not burnout. I mean, how many times are women saying, or men too, I'm just so burned out. I need a new job. I need a new marriage. I need a new house. I'm just tired of all this. I just want to
It's
burn it down fresh.
externalizing, right? Externalizing. Something else will make me feel better.
Yes.
Yeah.
And wherever you go, there you are. So can you recover from betrayal? Yes. When you realize that it is a betrayal. And not only have institutions betrayed me, Our culture. I mean, we raise girls to please. We raise boys to please, but mostly girls. Make people happy. Do this and mommy will be happy. Do this and your teacher will be happy. Jump this high. Go through this hoop. Get an A. It's a betrayal from our whole society, from the whole system. Even in the beauty and fitness industry, if you look this way, you're going to be happy. If you lose this weight, you're going to be happy. And when you recognize that it's a betrayal, then you can start moving into fixing that betrayal through unconditional acceptance, through forgiveness of yourself, but also for other people who have fallen victim to this system without realizing it. Our teachers, parents, bosses, friends, family, nobody is out to get us. It's that we're all striving. We're all striving to perform. We're all seeking to do the right thing. And we have to have grace and forgiveness for ourselves and for others. And the strength then to recognize it as a betrayal and to break out of it so we can heal that. So we're not constantly in a state of burnout and resentment and disillusionment over our lives and our careers and our friendships and our relationships.
Because when we do that, we just keep repeating the same old pattern. When we look elsewhere for something or someone to fix the betrayal, it doesn't work. It doesn't. It just keeps repeating itself, right? We keep falling into the same pattern until we decide to do something differently. Yeah. Okay. So if burnout is fixed, I'm sorry.
No, I really love what you said there, because how often do you know people, or have you experienced it yourself, where it's one bad career after another bad career, bad job, bad boss, bad boss? I'm sorry, but we don't have bad relationships and bad boss and bad jobs one after another.
Yeah.
It's internal, not external.
Right. Yeah. We got to notice that the pattern that's repeating itself and decide that we want something to change. Mm-hmm. And in order for something to change, we have to look at what it is differently, right? Yeah. And then do something different that we haven't done before, so that the pattern no longer repeats. We actually break the pattern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because like that, if you are burned out and you take a weekend away and you come back and you're gloriously refreshed and you can't wait, then it was burnout. It's not a big deal. You're just tired.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's a great way to actually identify what it is. But if you come back from that vacation and you still feel the same way,
yeah,
you got to look elsewhere. It's not burnout. It didn't help to recharge or supposedly recharge yourself. You're still feeling the same way, and perhaps then it's betrayal.
Exactly.
That's a great point. That's a great point. All right. So betrayal creates this deep lack of trust in ourselves. So I want to dig under that a little bit more.
Oh, yeah. That's so good.
Yeah. So I know you have a 5-step process to help people recover from betrayal. And it could be any kind of betrayal. We talked about that before, whether we've betrayed ourselves, someone has betrayed us, or something has betrayed us, and we recognize that it's been going on. It's a pattern that's repeated itself. It's been going on for a while. So I want to dig into your tips here, but before we do, I want to tell our viewers that I've been doing this podcast for 4 seasons, the start of our 5th season. And a lot of the folks who tune in loyally have told me that They love the topics we talk about, but they really love this last part of the show where our guests share their tips with us. It's why I call the show Tips for the Transition. And it is the powerful part where we get to learn practical tips and techniques from our guests at the end of the episode. So I want to ask Lora, in the work you do, what are the steps that you teach people to recover from betrayal?
Yeah. Flaunt is the acronym. And it's a fun acronym because when you successfully start to flaunt, it really means that you are so confident and that you trust yourself. Yeah. Not that it's this fake confidence, like, I got it all and I'm going to stick it in your face and prove that's not real. But you're just so comfortable having, like you said, the difficult conversation in the moment. Being able to just say clearly that this might not work for me, or I need some more clarity around that. That doesn't feel good. And just flaunting each and every moment. Yeah. To make yourself.
I love what you said. Think of it in a fun way, not in, not in a, You have to think about the word flaunt. And I love that it's in the title of your book as well.
Oh, me too. It's just such a fun word. And also, nobody pursues a career because they think it's going to be miserable. Nobody enters a relationship or a friendship because they think it's going to be miserable. Right. Flaunting is about having fun. Life is supposed to be fun. Yeah. So flaunt is an acronym.
Okay.
F stands for find your fetish. And again, fetish is such a fun, naughty word, but that's the point. So often, especially as, smart, intelligent adults, we do things for a reason. I'm going to take this course so I can get better at this. I'm going to do this fitness regime so I lose weight and I look better. Oh my gosh, when you were a kid, why did you play? You played because it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't play to prove something or to get invited for the next pickleball thing. You did it because it was fun. What can you do right now, every day, that's just fun? And that's the first step in remedying betrayal, to break out of those shoulds and to find your fetish again, to remember who you are and why you're here, why you chose this career, why you wanted a relationship, whatever it is.
Yeah.
The next step in flaunt is L, and that's for laugh out loud. And again, laughter is actually very cathartic. It's a physiological response that our body has. And if you think about what's going on when you're laughing hysterically and when you're crying hysterically, it's the same. Yeah, you're contracting, you're shaking, you might be crying. We hold all this energy in our bodies. And especially when we're sitting at a desk all day, oh my gosh, our body has to move. And laughter is a way that we can move. Nervous laughter, that's a thing. Let it flow.
It's a release, right? It's a release.
Yeah.
It's a way to release that energy that you're holding inside. Yeah. That's a great one.
And it makes us more comfortable, but it also makes people around us more comfortable. And I know we all get nervous that I don't want to offend somebody or I don't want to appear like giggly and nervous. Let's cultivate some real humor in our life. Even if you start a day watching, a cat video or toddlers doing funny things, it shifts your perspective. And one thing that I advise people to do, especially when they're going through a transition or a tough time, is to keep a laughter journal. Keep notes. Who are the funny people? What are some of the funny shows? Like, the old Frankenstein movie. Or Young Frankenstein movie, sorry. That's hysterical. And sometimes thinking about Mel Brooks or an I Love Lucy episode, it just shifts my mindset because it's funny.
right?
Write down things that make you laugh. Look for humor around you. And don't take yourself so seriously. Even in the midst of your worst day, there's some funny things.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the A stand for?
AU goes together, and AU is the atomic symbol for gold, and that is the golden center of flaunt, and that stands for accept unconditionally. Okay, especially for high achievers, I'm like raising my hand so high right now. We think we can control everything, and we think if I only say this or do this, then they're going to say this, and then they're going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. And tell me, you've had those conversations in your head?
No, not just in my head.
Exactly. We have to accept everyone and everything as they are, not as we think they should be. And we have to accept ourselves as we are, not as we think that we should be. And that is so difficult to accept unconditionally. But think about the betrayal. I had to accept my husband's betrayal. I can't change that.
Right.
If you don't get a promotion, if your company shuts down, you've got to accept it. How much time and energy do we spend thinking, well, what if they did this? And then why didn't they do this? And I wonder if that was caused. It's insidious. Let it go. It doesn't matter. Accept it. Don't wish it away. Accept. Once you accept, you know where you stand, and then you can move on. But if you're trying to move on from this fantasy place, it's not going to work. It's your GPS. If you have a location tag in the wrong spot, you're not going to get there. The directions are valid from that spot, not from where you're at.
And that goes back to the repeating the old patterns, right? If you're not accepting, you are replaying all the old stories.
Yes.
And you get stuck in that pattern until you can, and I love that, the gold in the middle of flaunt. I love that. The AU, accept unconditionally. Until you can do that, you can't move on truly.
Yes.
Yeah, that is the goal. That's absolutely true. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay,
So well
keep going.
The N stands for navigate the negative. Now, so many of us think it's from point A to point B. I will get this degree and then get this job. I will be promoted on this date after I've completed this project. We're such linear thinkers, even when we're not linear thinkers, because that's the way the world is presented to us. If you get a degree, you'll make money.
Mm-hmm.
We are not taught that everything is navigation. If you think about a boat, you navigate the wind, the waves. A storm might come in. You might divert, you might backtrack. One of my favorite things that I tell most of my clients is, if you're driving home and there's a roadblock, would you ever consider getting out of your car and quitting? You never would. You would take the detour. If a storm comes in on the way to your detour, you might even backtrack and detour some more. If there's an accident, you don't stop and quit. You wait, you go a different way, you figure it out, but you don't stop.
Right.
So what is the difference in life? Where does this belief come from that, it must not be meant to be, and I'm being shut down, and I didn't make partner, and blah, blah. It's about navigating. You can navigate or you can quit. Pretty much, those are your options.
Yep.
Yeah. And when we have that reframe, we realize we're not doing something wrong. Nobody is out to get us. Nobody is against us. It's just navigating. How do I can go over, around, under, through. What is it? It becomes, again, fun.
Yeah, and I love the sequence, that the acceptance comes first, right? So now that you accept that this is where you are, now you get to navigate from here.
Yes.
Around, over, through, whatever it takes for you to move to where you want to be next.
Yeah.
Yeah, love that. All right, the final one, the T.
The T is the big one. And yes, it is sequential. The T is trusting in your truth. There are so many ways that we seek external validation. Am I doing a good enough job? What do you think? And that's great. It's fine. but nobody knows how you feel. Nobody can look at you and say unequivocally, you are in love, you are happy, you are depressed. We're the only one who knows how we feel inside. And that's something we need to spend a lot more time and effort thinking about, feeling about, and trusting in. If you're having a really bad feeling about a career or a person or a choice, honor your feelings. Lean into that. Ask yourself, what is this really about? And trust it.
Yeah.
Because you're the only one who knows. Nobody can tell you how you feel.
You know, it's such an important piece of this, Laura. Thank you for ending on that, because ultimately, once we accept and navigate, we have to trust ourselves, right? Our intuition, whatever you call it, our intuition, your gut, your higher power.
Yeah.
Trust in that in order for us to feel safe and grounded in how we go forward from here.
Yeah.
I love that acronym. I love those tips. So that acronym is so powerful, flaunt, and so fun. You put a fun twist on that, and I've never heard this one before. So it's a great sequence. Thank you so much for that process to follow. Is very powerful and very practical, and
Yeah.
I think it can be applied in a career situation that we may find ourselves in, or a personal one.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And it just keeps it happy, because there's nothing worse than that moment when you're like, oh, I have sold my soul for this company and they don't care, and now it's too late and I've messed it up and I wasn't there for my family and friends, and and we get into that state of just despondency.
Yeah, and it's never too late.
It's
It is
not.
never ever too late. Yeah.
No.
So
And
glad
that's
you
why,
hit on that. Yeah.
yeah, because it can be elevated. We elevate ourselves through it. We have fun through it. It's never too late.
Never too late. All right. Unfortunately, we've gotten to the end of our time here. So I want to thank you so much for visiting with us today on our first episode of the 5th season of our podcast. Thank you for honoring us with your presence here today.
Thank you for having me. It's my mission, and it feels so good to share, especially with somebody as warm and wonderful as you. So it
Oh,
was such an honor.
thank you. Thank you for that. Now, I want to give our guests, I'm sorry, our viewers, an opportunity to get in touch with you directly. So, would you let us know? And I know you said you have a gift for us. So, we have a little graphic on the bottom of the screen, but tell us about your gift and where to find it.
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to my website, loracheadle.com, and Laura is spelled a little bit different than the traditional way. So, yes, it is LoraCheadle.com. And the gift that I've got is it's called the Sparkle After Betrayal Recovery Guide. And it goes through some of the ways that you may have been betrayed, just to help open your eyes and shift your perspective. And then it gives 5 simple little practices that you can do right now, today, with no money, no gear, nothing required, that can help get you back grounded into who you are and how you feel, so you can really begin the recovery process today.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for offering that to us today. That is, everyone needs a little help, and those guides, those first aid kits, are also always so helpful. So thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
All right. Um, I I know that for those of us, those who are watching, this may be your first time, or you may be here repeatedly. You may be one of our loyal viewers. I want to thank you very much for being a part of our community. As a career and life coach, I love creating resources for women, and each episode that we do of this podcast is a resource for someone you know. So please feel free to share it. We are here to help people whose lives are turned upside down, to help them turn their lives right side up again. I believe it's our time to thrive. Will you join me on that ride? Until next time, I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan, turning transition into triumph.